I went to a birthday party and I didn't drive. And so after after we went out to eat, I rode with them to the movie theater. And I actually didn't have anything to do in picking out the movie because it wasn't my idea to go to the movie theater. But the people I was with decided on Baby Driver, and I didn't, I wasn't involved in getting the tickets or anything like that. So when I found out which movie they had chosen and, was given my ticket, I said, I'm not watching this. The title itself seemed silly. So I didn't want to watch it. I thought of it as perhaps a kid's movie. I didn't really pay too much attention because it wasn't my idea to go to the movie. I just rode along. Anyway, I ended up going to see Transformers by myself because honestly, I remembered watching some YouTube video or something where the person was saying that Transformers had something to do with the Nephilim or the fallen angels. Like it was kind of like a way for them to secretly tell the history of that. So I figured, well, maybe I'll get some useful information because anything that I watch or consume, I try to get useful information, not fluff, which is what I expected from a movie with the title Baby Drivers. So I went to Transformers, and what I got instead of a definitive history of the Nephilim, the fallen angels, and evil itself, I actually got a very real life, up to date um, picture of the mind control, the intense mind control that's going on. Um, what was revealed was a covert um, manipulation to try to bring about a race war, a real race war. Um, Now I'm gonna go through the parts of the movie that subtly, try to pit different races against each other or try to paint a particular picture, a negative image of particular races in order to bring about this race war. But um, I'm just noticing more and more like how mind controlled people are, especially the ones who regularly watch movies, regularly watch television, read the newspaper, consume this mass media, and even the truth movement and New Age stuff. It's like like the Alex Joneses and the David Ikes and people like that. They're like to catch those who aren't caught by the mainstream. So they have different levels of disinformation to catch those who aren't fooled by the mainstream, but they might be able to net them in a more sophisticated mind manipulation by portraying people as truthers who are actually still part of the system. So you got to watch out for that as well. Well, this is a mainstream movie. And so, you expect the most obvious, subtle form of mind control because it works. It usually works on this level. But what I noticed was that the only real black character who has lines and who is a minor character is portrayed as being useless. The black male, um, he is portrayed as a coward. He is portrayed as not knowing what's going on, um, being naive, not knowing what he was getting into. And all of his suggestions, plans are useless. They're wrong. Um, he's hit by a beanbag and he thinks he's dying, and he's just portrayed as a coward who is just the idiot who has funny lines. At one point, however, he says, "I don't pay taxes." Now, that is, to me, an obvious way to pit people against blacks as being, welfare recipients who just take and take and take from whites. So that is one example of them trying to bring about a race war by showing that blacks are useless and they don't pay taxes, they only take your tax money. Now, we'll get to who's doing this later, a little bit later on. He also wears a shirt that says "Basketball's my girlfriend." Now, this is my first time seeing this shirt, and I just thought it was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. Basketball is my girlfriend. What does that mean? It's stupid. It had like the Nike symbol on it, so I assume Nike, with its vast wealth, was able to create some kind of campaign, advertisement campaign. The more money, I guess, the more sophisticated the mind control tactics you can use. But I assume they're able to create this campaign to make such a stupid saying, popular, relevant, something that people will want to actually spend money on. But I thought, that's silly. But I kid you not, I went to Walmart after, I came home um, to do some grocery shopping, and it's the same day I watched this movie. A grown black man was wearing the shirt, "Basketball's my girlfriend." The same shirt this young boy was wearing in Transformer. The same day, I went to Walmart later on that day, and a grown man was wearing "Basketball's my girlfriend." Now, the first time I saw this shirt, I studied this shirt after I'd seen it twice on the movie character and the same day on a real life man. And to me, that tells me the mind control worked. It's just not something you see on television. People actually do what they see in ads, print ads, television, whatever. If the media says something is cool, they wear it. But I just thought it was silly, and even more silly on a grown man. But I researched it and said that Amazon, I noticed that it was premiered through one seller as early as 2015. I'm not sure how old the shirt is, how old the logo is, because my first time seeing it was in that movie. But the fact that I saw a grown man wearing it the same day indicates to me that how the power of media. And we'll get into how it's magic. It is magic, how you can control people to the point where what they see on the movie screen becomes real. The characters that they see on the movie screen, how those characters are behaving, it becomes real in your mind, and you attribute the behavior of characters in movies to real life people. And that's how they're able to use movies in order to bring about the agenda that they want to bring about. So black man is, and then we see this over and over again, the black man contributing nothing but comic relief, no real help, not a leader. And that demoralize even me as a black woman, who of course wasn't represented at all in these movies, because the black woman they're trying to phase out. But as far as at least the people who are behind the scenes, in terms of political power, media power, stuff like that. But even seeing the way the black male, who is supposed to be the leader of my race, seeing the way he's portrayed, of course that demoralizes me, because I'm looking at him and I'm seeing them on these movies. If I were a regular moviegoer, which I used to be, when I was young. Um, but since I've been in Christ, I've been, eliminating that kind of media. So, but in my younger days, that would have really demoralized me, because this is the leader of my race, and he's not contributing anything except comic relief. He doesn't have any good suggestions. He's afraid. It's meant to demoralize us, and also to paint us as useless to other races, to show that we're expendable, and we're just dead weight, basically, to show that we're just dead weight. So also, you'll notice in this movie how the whites and the Hispanics bonded. The whites and the Hispanics, as far as the girl who Mark Wahlberg called Little J Lo. They're like a team. She's useful, but the black male is useless, and she's useful to the white male, and they have this coalition. He takes her under his wing. She shows herself to be knowledgeable, and they form a united front against the enemy. And what you'll notice here, it's like bad guys fighting bad guys. I mean, you'll notice Anthony Hopkins, who I'm most familiar with as Hannibal Lecter. But you'll have these characters, and I believe they do this on purpose, to have bad characters play good characters, and then blurring the line between good and evil, to where you have two forces. The Transformers, some are evil, some are good, some become evil for a short period of time and then become good again, fighting against evil. So it kind of blurs the line between good and evil a little bit. Now, I noticed on a cop car that it, and I know this was an actual Transformer, but I'm saying what it implants in the mind of me, a person who hasn't seen the Transformers, who doesn't know the history of the Transformers. I saw a cop car that says to punish and enslave. And to me, that is painting the cops, the police, in a negative light, so that people look at police as the enemy. And so that'll pit, especially black people, against the police, but any like seemingly, oppressed group or people who feel as though they're harassed by cops, that just, fuels the fire to think of police as not to protect and to serve, but to punish and enslave. That was a logo that was on what appeared to be a cop car, although it was probably a transformer. Now, there was also a large wall art of Che Guevara, that was shown on a wall for a long period of time, and under it, in not in English, but as an English speaker, you can understand if it's saying victory, like to victory always or something, and it's actually mind control to make communism appear cool, the same way that Che t-shirts have become so common and popular in America. You would think, how can that be organic, being that he's from another country and he espouses a political philosophy that is not our dominant, supposedly not our dominant political philosophy. But rather than thinking of things happening organically, if you start to see things as happening as a result of intentional programming through mind control, the same way that a shirt as silly as basketball is my girlfriend became a marketable, selling, cool t-shirt, which to my mind was stupid. But then I saw an actual person wearing it, and it's like they use the media in order to subtly or covertly make you think a certain way. And that's another thing. This movie, the pace was so fast, you didn't have time to think. They gave you everything. Like the dialogue was fast, the action was fast, it was rushed, and you didn't have time to think about what was going on. This is like worlds away from like The Matrix back in '99, where it's like, oh, you can think about, oh, well, is this world an illusion? Nowadays, if you compare Matrix of 1999 to Transformers, The Last Night of 2017, you don't have time to think, and they don't want you to think. They're hitting you with flashes of programming, to punish and enslave, Che Guevara, basketball's my girlfriend. Like it's like they're advertising at the same time. They're advertising products, but at the same time they're programming you in the direction that they want you to go. And I've done another video about how they're bringing us to like a communist, socialist type government. That's what they're trying to bring us towards. And they've made it seem cool, like it's something that is a utopia. But like when evil people plan a government for you, usually it doesn't turn out, evil, godless people, usually it doesn't turn out the way that they advertise it to you. So what that means is more control for them, less control for us, less knowledge for us. Us is pretty much being docile and doing their will. So them showing the Che Guevara wall art with victory, and it being prominent in such a movie, such a popular movie, would be them mind controlling us, hitting us with those, images that make us see communism as cool, as something that, is going to be victorious, and something that is normal, and something that is hoped for, that we want to bring about. That's what they're giving us. It's not an organic wall art. It's programming. And you know, the black male saying, I don't pay taxes is, what's ironic is that the way the system is set up, the welfare system and stuff like that, it's something that is a precursor for a communist socialist society. But at the same time, people are looked at, are taught, are programmed to see it as a good thing. And when they do, when the programming works, and let's say blacks see it as a good thing, then the blacks are demonized, or they're seen as the enemy, you know, or as the bad guys in this, when they fall prey to the programming that socialism is cool, communism is the way to go. So it's like the victims of the programming are made to seem like the predators to hide the real enemy. So, and again, this is all in fast motion, and I'm just giving you my take on the movie as someone looking at the brainwashing and the mind control going on in the movie. So, you know, the mind control, and it was very prominent to me, the mind control is the magic. Like, people think of magic as like something over the top, supernatural. But mind control is making what you see that is artificial, like, you know, making you have feelings for these transformers that aren't real. That would be a form of mind control, because they're not real, yet with the awesome, you know, special effects, you start to have emotional feelings for these transformers, you know, like when they're killed or when they're in danger. You know, that's magic. That's them making what's fake become real. Just like you seeing a cool person on television, or an actor wearing something on television, and you go out and buy it. It's like you can't distinguish between real and fiction, fantasy and fact. You can't distinguish between the two. So what people do on television you think is real. The characters portrayed on television become, that's how those kind of people who look that way are in real life. So the themes that we have are that, you know, the whites and Hispanics should stick together. The blacks are useless. Communism is cool. Cops are our enemies, so we should fight against them. And you'll see, like with the whole hands up, don't shoot, the whole Black Lives Matter, it was a pitting of the people, especially black people, against the police, like waging these wars between different segments of the population, getting them fight amongst each other to kill off each other, or to cause social unrest, so that then the ones who are in control can justify, just like with 9/11, like if you have an enemy, if you create an outside enemy, then that justifies you having more control in order to, it's like the enemy hiding behind another enemy. If the Muslims are the enemies, then your real enemy can hide behind the Muslims, saying that they are protecting you from the Muslims, but exercise more control over you through the idea that you have an external enemy. So make the Muslims the supposed perpetuators of 9/11. And then the real controllers can come in and say, we are going to exercise more control in order to protect you. So lead closer to a more, you know, communist, total control society. Now, if you want insight into who is behind the curtain performing this magic, you know, like the Wizard of Oz magic type thing, we look at how Hitler is portrayed. World War II was quite a while ago, and the fact that it's still showing up in movies, this is 2017, is almost like a sure sign of fake Jews, because they're not actually the Jews of the Bible. But when Hitler shows up as this evil, all-encompassing, like he is like the most evil man in the world, when that shows up, that's almost a sure sign of Jewish involvement in a movie, because it's the idea is to keep it going. Hitler, you know, the Muslim is the enemy, Hitler is the enemy, and that is the real enemy hiding behind a hyped up enemy, you know. So we have the Nazis portrayed as evil in this movie. And it's like the Transformers are helping to fight against Hitler, which is strange, you know, but that just shows you that the fake Jews are involved in this, in writing the story. If the Transformers are helping us to fight Hitler, who is the greatest evil. So, and you know, if you do your research, you'll see that Hitler, I'm not saying that Hitler was, you know, a great person or anything like that. I'm just saying he was actually not as evil as those who are continuing to dig up his corpse in order to hide behind an enemy so that they're them. It's almost like, okay, we know we're the enemy. We know that we're your enemy. We know that we're pitting different races against each other so that you either kill off each other or do our dirty work for us and kill off the undesirables. But at the end, we'll be in control. That's why we're leading you to a communist government. So they know they're the enemy, but in order to direct our attention away from them as the enemy, they have to set up a lesser enemy. And they know they're the lesser enemy, because if they were the greater enemy, they wouldn't have to continue to put out propaganda to make them seem like the greater enemy. It would be apparent. But Hitler, they have to dig up even now in 2017 to make him this great evil. But he was defeated. And so we have to ask ourselves, was he defeated by a good force, or was he defeated by a more subtle, more evil force? And I'm saying that the evil that beat Hitler is a subtler evil. And again, in this movie, like in other movies, I noticed this also in The Last Stand, where at the very end or after the credits, you know, Magneto can still move the chess piece. You know, his power isn't still gone. At the end of this movie, after the credits, you know, you see the evil woman who created these Transformers. You see that she's not dead. You know, she's morphed into something else. You know, it's like evil is not defeated. You know, and I feel like that is the greater evil is the subtle evil that performs magic in the form of motion pictures, in the form of television, that mind control you, that flash these images at you that don't want you to think, that everything is in fast motion. Everything is a flashing of images. You think that you're being entertained, but you're being programmed. And you update your program every time you turn on the television, every time you go to the movies. You're updating your own programming, and a lot of times you're paying for it with your money, with your, you know, your earned money. But it's a very subtle evil that we're experiencing right now. And I'm sorry to say, but it's working. And the fact that I saw the guy at Walmart wearing the same shirt that I saw the kid wearing in the movie to me was a symbol that it's working. What's on TV becomes reality because the mind control takes in a lot of people, and they bring it into real life. And the people who are perpetuating this subtle evil know that. And that's why they continue to subtly program us in this way, because it's working. And maybe not to the extent that they want, because they don't have an all-out race war, but truly our thoughts towards each other are being changed. if every movie that you watch shows certain races portrayed in a certain way, you're going to start seeing those races in that way. Even me, I was a little demoralized because I'm like thinking, okay, I'm hoping that this boy in the movie is going to do something redeeming, and he has no redeeming qualities. Even at the end, they have him pretending as if he's the one who brought this superhero transformer to the aid of the human. Like, he's pretending to be the hero. Like, if it wasn't enough that he was portrayed as useless, at the end he has like this delusion that he actually helped. But I felt temporarily the emotions for these transformers as I was watching the movie, and they were not real. And I also felt a little demoralized when I saw the only black character portrayed the way he was. And me, I am not susceptible to that mind control because I've actually studied it and I know what they're doing. But still, on a deeper level, on an emotional level, those movies still affect me temporarily. So it's a very powerful tool of magic. And that's why, I suggest, rather than turning on the television, rather than going to the movies, you do some research on these subtle methods of mind control so that you can know what's being done to you while you're paying for it.